and get logged on here for a second. I'm gonna grab my water. I forgot it again. No surprise. No surprise there, sir. No surprise. All right. Take my jacket off. I'm not taking it off yet. I'm like cold, but I'm not. But I am, but I'm not. Yeah, we'll be taking it off here pretty quick. So, hi everybody. I'm gonna turn on my phone. Hopefully my kid isn't gonna be yelling downstairs because he's playing video games. So he's like, "Go, let's go!" I'm like, shut up. All righty. Cool. Sit in sunshine. Oh, I know. It's so nice outside. I know. So it's kind of funny because I'm waiting for, as soon as we get done here, Steve and I are going to go for a walk. I'm like, you want to go for a walk with me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So we're going to go for a walk later. So Eric is in Kansas City visiting family for a little bit. So he's gone for a while. So, which fine by me. So, but yeah, so I think we're going to go for a nice just walk. So what level awakening is when you are annoyed by everybody? Yeah, it's earlier on because after a while you get used to it, but you just smile and wave. You're like, bless your heart. So, because there really isn't much you can do. You just smile and wave. So, and you don't, like I said, usually at early on in those stages, you're still having to deal with negative people because you haven't left your job yet, or you haven't made those big moves yet. So yeah, they'll annoy you enough that even if they breathe wrong, you're like, yeah, it's just it's the reason why is because you're on two different playing fields. Vibrationally speaking, you're a higher vibration than they are, and then it's just not a good combo. Not never a good combo, but at the same time, we still have to be in a 5D world dealing with 3D people. So it's part of what we have to do. So, but like I said, as long as you're not taking what they're saying personally, it's fine. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's just recently, probably in the last week, it like our gears kind of got shifted. And I'm like, what is this shift? Why is this such a different shift? And it kind of just got geared into the masculine a little bit more. So I'm just like, what's with the masculine energy coming in? And my spirit guides last night were like, well, we got to wake the boys up. I'm like, wake the boys up. And they're like, well, yeah, there's been a big push with this divine feminine energy where a lot of us ladies are going through spiritual awakenings, and some guys too. But now there's a lot of big push or big energy on the masculine front. So they're really trying to get the guys to get enlightened and start figuring their stuff out, which is great. So I'm like, oh, that's where the shift, because it was like a big different shift. And I couldn't stick my finger on what exactly that shift was. And what it's boiling down to is just a bigger masculine energy shift. So, but today we should be feeling better. So like I said, this weekend, there was a lot of solar flares and more solar activity. And so we're starting to kind of switch into a better gear, I guess, so to speak, especially starting here next week. So, but May was all about recovery, chill. That's why a lot of us were extremely tired this month because of all the massive shifts we had in March and April. And that's why May was very much a rest month. June is all about, okay, where do you want to go? How do you want it to happen? What direction do you want to go? What are your goals, ambitions, and dreams? What do you need to let go in order to move forward? So that's really kind of where we're at right now. And I know a lot of people are really struggling with like deep, dark emotions. I'm like, good, get them out. And if that means that we have to talk to a counselor, if that means that we got to, hang around friends and family to deal with that, then do what we got to do. So, but we're all, like I said, we're finally starting to kind of kick into a better gear. But if you still feel like you need to rest. So remember, May is the rest month. So it's not really time to get going yet. But if you get the opportunity, absolutely take it. But the energy is still very much on a rest and relax right now. Like I said, June, July, this is when we can start moving in a different direction, putting up proper boundaries, doing all that stuff. So it's starting to slowly get a little easier. So slowly. Yeah, and like I said, this one has got my layoff notice from my employer yesterday, feeling okay about it, but then they're trying to get me into a different job you don't want. And I'm like, and that just means to tell me that you're not supposed to be there anymore. I don't think you need any more signs that you're not supposed to be there, and it's time to move on. Absolutely time to move on. So, yeah, if your body's hurting all the time, again, this is all from those solar flares that we had. A lot of us still from those solar flares are dealing with this dizziness and tummy ache stuff. Make sure that you're taking your nutrition. But, you know, I've been a big proponent here lately wearing a lot of shungite. So I don't know what radio waves they've been sending out here lately. So, but I've been doing that a lot. That's just me. But it seemed to have helped me at least feel a little bit more grounded. I don't know how to explain that, but I've been sleeping with a lot of shungite lately, lots. So, so let's see here. E is saying hubby is exhausted, sick on the weekends. I seem to suck up how he feels. So how can you keep from taking on his stuff? So ultimately, if he's exhausted or sick on the weekends, what the hell is he doing for 8 hours a day that's exhausting him? That means to tell me he's doing a job that he freaking hates, and we got to get him out of that. So especially if he feels like he's locked in. So we need to do whatever it takes to help him get out of that situation. You should never go to a job, a 9-to-5 job, or a job that you're working 8-10 hours at that you absolutely hate. There's no way you can be positive. There's no way you can manifest. There's no way you can move forward. You have to be willing to get yourself out of that situation. And what I tell people all the time is apply to your dream job. What's the worst that can happen? They say no. But what happens if you go in for an interview, nail the interview, and get your dream job? So, and I am amazed at how many people won't even apply, or they are like, well, I don't even qualify. I'm like, who cares? Apply anyway, really. So it's amazing how many people who just won't. So Betty's asking, how do you stand up to an overly religious person when you know that they're wrong? You don't, because you can't change anybody's opinion, especially when it comes to religion or their perspective. And if they're not willing to look at other perspectives, then they will stand on that perspective, whether that's right or wrong. And that really has a lot to do with cognitive dissonance. It's just kind of like you can give them the truth, but they're so far from it. They're like, no. And so your brain does a weird thing where it tries to defend something, even though in your world it might be right, in their world it might be right, but it really boils down to perspective. And I'm telling you, when it comes to a religious person, to me, religion is the guidebook on how to live a spiritual life, on how to become more spiritual, on how to become more connected to God. But if you've never been through a spiritual awakening, it's hard to explain that connection to people. It's really difficult. And how do you explain that feeling? When you first go through a spiritual awakening, you know that feeling. You know that you're connected to God source energy. You don't know how, why, anything else, but you can feel it because it's palpable. Religious people that are unenlightened do not understand that concept. So you're talking about apples to oranges, that somebody's never had that experience. So no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how softly you try to deliver this, if they're not willing to hear the truth, they're not going to hear it, and it's a losing battle. So because they're going to stick to their guns on what they deem is right, and that's okay. That's okay. So, like I said, it's not your job to save people. It's not your job to change people's mind. It's not my job either. My job is to give you the potential to look at a possible different perspective. But if you still choose not to, then that's all on you. It's not on me. It's cool. I'm not going to take that personally. So it's no different than I've learned over the years. All I can do is dispense advice when it's asked. And if they choose to go with that advice, that's cool. That's fine. So it doesn't hurt my feelings any, because if they want to live a better life or become more happy, these are the steps that you need to do. And if they're not willing to do it, well, then they're going to come back a year later and I'm going to give them the same reading. And then they're going to be like, well, that's the same thing you said last year. And I'm going to be like, and how does it feel to waste a year of your life? Because you don't want to do anything different. So if you want to become something different, you must do something different. So, and a lot of it boils down to routine, just changing up your routine. Oh my gosh, good questions, guys. Let's see here. Let's see. So, and Jessica, this is a really common one, especially at the end of a stage 3 going into a stage 4. How to deal with everything that you knew is now gone. It's because you outgrew it, honey. If you were to stay in that box, the box is too small for your soul. And so sometimes we have to leave that part of us behind, even though that was comfortable and we loved it and was great. And in order for us to become better people and move on and grow at a spiritual perspective and a personal perspective, we have to be able to move on from situations. So things will never be the same. They're not supposed to be the same. And so just understand that you outgrew that situation. And now you need to feel comfortable in a different situation. Even though you may want that one, that's no longer, you don't have that ability. So what are you going to do now moving forward to recreate that happiness within yourself to move forward with or without them? So, and that's where you really have to sit down your goals, ambitions, and dreams and really, really think about that on what it is that you really, truly want. So, because that's the biggest thing, that when I ask people what makes you happy, they always give me the same BS excuse. It's usually, oh, Jesus and God and family. And I'm like, no, they don't. You're pissed off at your family constantly. What truly makes you happy? And they really can't answer that question. And I don't care at what age, you should always have goals, ambitions, and dreams, and those should never stop. Those should never, ever stop. So this is another one that I hear a lot. Why does it feel like time feels different? It's because we're now in a 5D world. We're not in a 3D world anymore. So when you advance your spiritual development, which if you're watching me, you're in 5D world. So people would like to be like, oh my God, this miraculous thing is going to happen for us to be in 5D. No, we're already there. We still have to live with the 3D people, which is going to be kind of frustrating, but us 5D'ers are now starting to come together and starting to change things up. But the 5D people will notice that time is linear. It's actually linear here with us humans. It's actually quantum. So if you want to slow time down, you can. If you want to speed it up, you can. All you have to do is imagine it to do that. So because it's your imagination that will give you what it is that you want in a weird way, but that's how you manifest. So, but yes, you will notice in a 5D world, what we're in, that time is going to feel like it's accelerating. It's kind of like you look up and it's 8 o'clock and you're like, I just got here. And I'm like, right. So what, in a weird way, what that does is forces us to look at the here and now. It forces us to be more present, knowing that the time is going faster. So in a weird way, it helps to keep us in the here and now. And it also has you thinking about, who am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? So again, it's a weird way to self-actualize that, that word. So, but that's why time feels like it's going a lot faster. Let's see here. What crystals should you have on me while dealing with an ass at work? So that either black tourmaline for the really negative ones, or if you're going into a negative situation, but usually any obsidian is great for protecting you from negative coworkers or dickheads at work. If you're having dreams of somebody that has died, those are called visitation dreams. Those are real. They may be in weird settings and everything else, but those are real. They're fairly rare. So when you do have dreams of somebody that died, that's real. Like I said, it's called a visitation dream. They don't happen very often, and usually you're going to be able to remember that stuff. Here is a great question. How do you block others from using free will to change your life path in a negative way? They never can. No one gets to affect your free will in this world without your permission. So somehow, in a weird way, you gave away your power thinking that you needed somebody to be complete, to complete a task, to complete a business, to complete whatever. So no one, including myself, has, there's 12 universal laws. And one of those laws is no one has a right to affect your free will without your permission. Okay. So no one has that authority, because nobody has more power over you than you. It's kind of the same thing. If you believe that you're cursed, well, then you are, because it's the thoughts of you thinking that somebody has more power than you do. You are a piece of God's light. We are all a piece of God's light. We are more miraculous than what we are led to believe. And you don't have to believe me. Try it. Just test out that theory. You're going to see you're a lot more powerful than what you think. Okay. But like I said, I'm the type of person that I have a hard time with curses. Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Is there blood, dark demon blood magic? Yes, there is. But, after a while, you're going to know how the game is played, and you're going to realize nobody has more power than you do. No one has more authority over you than God's source energy, because we're all the same beings at the end of the day when we die. We're all the same. We look the same. We're the same. We're the same. So the question was, so if you don't allow them to use the free will, does it irritate them? Every time, because that means to tell them that you can't be controlled. No one gets to control me or what I do or what I say or how I react, because that's all on me. I cannot control the circumstances. I don't have that power, but I do get to control what I do, what I say, what I think, and where I go. So, or how I react. So those are all on me, and those are my free will choices. So, but if I'm listening to somebody giving me advice, and I heed that advice, well, then they're not affecting my free will. I'm agreeing to those terms. So does that make sense in a way? That's why I'm like, nobody has more power over you than you. So this one, Vanessa, I have had this a lot. So being a psychic medium here in Nebraska, I get a lot of people are like, oh, you're just a witch, or you do witchcraft. And I'm like, first of all, I know a lot of witches, and they're wonderful people. Okay. So a lot of witches do things more earthy. I do things with crystals. Some people do things with herbs. Doesn't matter. It's the intention. It doesn't matter. Okay. So when you have somebody that's accusing you of doing witchcraft to them, what that tells me is that they are intimidated as hell by you. So I get this a lot, or I get called, I'm intimidating, or you're just a witch. And I'm like, I literally scare the shit out of people. And the reason why is because they either it ultimately boils down to the fact that they don't understand me, and they're not educated. They're not educated. People fear what they don't know. People fear what they don't know. And I scare the shit out of people. And I have to remind them, I'm not intimidating. You're weak. I know my connection to God's source energy. You question it. I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and I appear fairly confident. And that scares the shit out of you, because I am the absolute opposite of you. That's why I'm intimidating. I'm not intimidating. You're weak. That's the difference. Or they'll say you're doing witchcraft, or you're just an evil woman, or the devil worshiping bitch, or I get called everything on the daily on my messages. I don't even care anymore, bless their heart. So like I said, but at the same time, I'm like, that just means to tell me, Vanessa, that they're intimidated by you. I'm like, so you must be doing something right. Let's see. We always see orbs flying around our subs crib at night. How do you know who's visiting? Usually it's loved ones. 9 times out of 10, it's almost always going to be loved ones. So especially grandmothers, especially a lot of grandma energy. Every once in a while, I'll see a ghost that might come in and check in on the kiddo. And if those are the nice ghosts that make sure everybody's safe, those are the ones we want to keep in the house, because, if your house catches fire, you want a good ghost in there to kind of help you out. So let me explain this one. When celebrities sell their soul, what does actually that mean? So when you sell your soul, here's the deal. Do you go to hell? Yeah, for a little while, then you go back to heaven. But here's the deal with that one. I wouldn't want the karmic debt. Karmic debt will get served one way or another. One way or another, it's going to get served. And it won't be in this lifetime, but it will be in the next. So they're signing up to sell their soul for money, fame, fortune. That's what they're doing. So, but at the end of the day, when you die, guess what? You can't take that shit with you. and you just sold your soul. And then you got to go meet your maker. Good luck with that. I wouldn't want the karmic debt. I wouldn't want the karmic debt. But what people don't realize is it goes a lot deeper than that. I can't talk about this here on this platform, but it goes a lot deeper than that. We're getting woke up to it. We kind of know everything. So, but yeah, yeah. So this is a good one. I always hear this, like, I'm changing your job and where I live. Am I doing the right thing? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. The reason why you're asking me is you want me to validate to you I made the right choice, right? And I'm like, I'm telling you, the minute you decide to start living your life for you and you leave your old life behind to start a new one, there is nothing wrong with that. And it takes a brave soul to do that. It does. It takes a brave cookie to do that. So are you doing the wrong thing? Hell to the no. Nope. Is there 10 realms of heaven? 7 to 10. I'm still trying to figure that out, because after reading the book of Enoch, it said 10. But if you read the book of Mary Magdalene, there's 7. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy. I haven't really looked into that a little bit better, but I am curious, because I've seen that too, Rosie, where there's 10 from the book of Enoch, but yet Mary Magdalene said 7. I'm like, which one? So, but yeah, I'm still doing a little bit of research on that. So really interesting. So what we're talking about is the Apocrypha, which is a group of books that were not included into the Bible. And when you start reading those Apocrypha books that are not in the Bible, you're going to understand real quick why they're not in the Bible. But it really, really, it connects all the dots. You start to connect the dots. You're like, oh, that's where giants come from. Oh, that's where sirens come from. Oh, that's where this, oh, like, yeah. So I am coming up, and I don't have it up and running yet. I'm still, Alika and I are still working on the website, mostly Alika. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to be working on a subscription like program. It's going to be like 10, 15 bucks a month, something like that. But I will do a Q&A once a month for 2 hours, and we're going to go deep into shit like this. Because remember, I'm still on a public forum, so I have to watch what I say or I get blackballed. And right now my account is blackballed. So that's why you guys aren't seeing me. You're probably not seeing any of my posts. You're probably not seeing anything that I'm sharing, because I misspoke a little bit. So no, it's because I told the truth. So just understand that I'm going to come up with a subscription program so we can talk more about this here. So I have some other things that I'm going to be sharing, but not yet. So it's because it's not right time. But here pretty soon, I'm gonna announce a few things that are going to be pretty awesome. So, but I'm just working on a few things. How do you find your truth? The best way to find your truth: spend time alone. And number 2, don't ask for other people's opinions on anything. Don't, because they're going to confuse the shit out of you every single time. Every single time. So if you really want to know what your truth is, do your own research, meaning that read about anything that you find curious. If it resonates with you, that's your truth. If you're like, doesn't make sense, it's not your truth. Okay. Your job is to figure out what resonates to you and what doesn't. So like I said, and I'm not here to necessarily be your teacher. I'm more of a guide. I'm like, I would look in this direction here. Maybe you might find some answers, because just because it's truth to me doesn't necessarily mean that it's truth to you. And that's okay. And that's okay. I'm gonna explain this one, Jan. How do you know if your dad will know you in heaven? He died when you were 11. Here's the deal. They will always be there. They are never not there. They are there every single time, and you will know exactly who they are the second you see them. Because remember, we don't have a human body anymore. It is instant recognition by a vibrational frequency. So you will absolutely know your dad. And I don't even care if he's reincarnated. You are still going to see him. Okay. You got to remember, we can do things quantumly. So, but you will still see him. Absolutely. Like, I don't even care. You will even see your pets. Okay. I don't care if it was a snake and you loved it. The damn snake is coming around to say hi. Okay. So here, well, what if you're wrong all the time? And how do you trust yourself? Depends on how you're wrong. So, because you might be right and everybody else might be wrong. Why have you never felt like you belong anywhere? Most of us that are here to break the old school bullshit, we're here to break family trauma. We're here to break the society. We're here to break a lot of those things. We will feel foreign. And I say we, Alicia, because same here. It's we can sit there and say that we're the black sheep, but we're not necessarily the black sheep, but kind of in society, we're the black sheep, but we're not the black sheep, if that makes sense. So that's it. That's really common. It's even more common with these crystal kids, which are about the age of 20 to 30 right now. So they really don't feel like they belong here. And it's because they don't know themselves well enough yet. That's why we're all starting to kind of group together so we can start making these changes so these crystal kids can come in with the solutions. So that's their job. But this is really common for people that are here for bigger purposes. We just don't feel like we fit in. So, and that's okay. Like I said, you're just going to have to get comfortable in your own skin. Why can't you remember your nightmares? You don't need to. That's why. If you were supposed to remember them, you would. So, like I said, that's just your subconscious playing out some crap right now, probably in your reality. Please address dementia. Dementia, depending on what it is, usually dementia is like, they're finding out it's more like diabetic related, almost like kind of like a glucose issue. So the biggest thing with dementia is because they were born living a really hard life. And they have to let go of that rigidity as they get older because you can't take that shit to heaven. So what happens is your brain lets it go here, and then you kind of go backwards as far as, you know, you're starting at 80, then you go to 70, 60, 50, 40, and they're like, oh, I see my mom, and I see my mommy, and I see my mama, and then you're like, then they cross over. So that's really what dementia is it's a big release of rigidity and hardness that they have had for their entire life. So Dina's asking ways to help your daughter overcome severe insomnia, borderline personality disorder. So here's the deal with this one. She needs counseling, intense counseling. Okay. So most unlikely she had some serious trauma growing up. Serious. Okay. So usually if you don't sleep well, you have a borderline personality disorder, all this, she needs not necessarily institutionalized, but it's almost just like we need a professional in there to slowly open up Pandora's box so we can start unpacking all this crap. So, and that stuff's not easy. And like I said, it's just going to have to be one day at a time. Hopefully she's old enough to, you know, be able to have a job, hold things down. But I want to make sure, Dina, that you are not enabling her. So make sure that you're not enabling her. Just because she has borderline personality disorder doesn't mean that we enable. We reward good behavior, not bad behavior. Okay. Also, anything dark purple, amethyst is good. Anything really purple or gold is going to help with brain and brain function. I also would add in lapilladite in there as well. So, but she's disabled. Yeah. So that's a big one. Like I said, I want to make sure that, you know, if she's with you, you have backup. So you're going to need some help here. So don't be afraid to ask for some help. And if that means maybe we need to find her a home or a halfway house or whatever this is, because like I said, you need help here. So don't be afraid to be like, okay, I need to come up with something because you need to live your life too. And there has to be balance in that. So I don't want you going always knee-jerk reaction to her drama. So, because again, that's going to enable we don't want to reward the bad behavior. So, but if she's got intense counseling, then she's on the right path. But like I said, it's all due to the severe trauma that she had in childhood. And it must have been pretty severe to have that. So ways to sell the house. Believe it or not, crystals, the best ones for that are going to be jade and citrine. Also, you want to sage your house. So sage the hell out of it and then air it out a lot. And then it should feel pretty good for the person who's coming in the door. So degenerative disc disorder of the neck and spine, any reason for getting worse? Yes, Kathy, because you feel that you have no support in this life. You feel that you have to do everything yourself. You have to do everything the hard way, and everything is always going to be difficult because that's your perspective. So we have to change your perspective here a little bit. So like I said, understand that I want you to start giving yourself better affirmations, right? So I am feeling great today. So, or I'm feeling okay. It's still better that if somebody asks you, how are you feeling? You're not going to go, oh, I feel terrible. No, I feel okay. I feel okay. So, but so number one, you need to ask for help. And I'm fully aware a lot of ladies don't like to ask for help because they don't like to feel vulnerable. I'm like, guess what? Get used to it. That's being human. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with feeling vulnerable and uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. So the biggest thing for you is like I said, you have no support at all. Your kids probably don't support you. Your family doesn't support you. And if that's the case, those boundaries better be up and they better be pretty freaking solid. What's this one say? Inflamed colon pressing on bladder pressure. I have IBS, Sharon. That has everything to do with your siblings. So my guess is you have a lot of family drama in relation to your siblings. And just because, let me say this about siblings, okay? You're going to pick a sibling because you pick your parents, you pick your siblings too. You're going to pick a sibling that is completely opposite of you. Even though you were raised in the same conditions, you will not have the same outlook or perspective when you leave that house. You won't. And you have to, the reason why is because our siblings are supposed to be the opposite of us for us to understand ourselves better due to polarity. All right. So your siblings will there it is right here. This is what I was hoping you were going to say. I have one left and I live with her. That's why you have colon issues. So my question is, why do you feel that you need to be a mother to her? Because nobody put you in that position. No one put you in that position. So, but like that's my question goes to you, is I'm like, if you're having severe IBS, colon issues especially, that has everything to do with your sibling because they're a pain in your ass. Pain in your ass. Here's how I'm gonna answer this one quick. Do I see a curse on me? No. And the fact that you think you're cursed, Lorena, is a problem. A big problem. That means to tell me that you're comfortable being a victim. And you need to work on your victim mentality. What if you were adopted? Let me explain adoption. In order for the hardest issue coming into this world, the Achilles heel, the short straw that you can pull coming into this world is having an abandonment issue, having two parents that give you up or don't want you at all. All right. That is hard. How are you truly supposed to understand unconditional love if your parents did not love you unconditionally? That's one hell of a lesson to learn in this life. Most people with a double abandonment issue are drug addicts, or they're on the street. So that is a really difficult issue. Understand that in a way, yes, you did agree to be adopted. And yes, you did agree to those siblings that were also adopted too. So I'm going to explain this one. Marcia, when you're in church and you feel like you need to tear up, this is normal for enlightened people. All of us feel this when we go to church once in a while. And it's usually when the music's playing. So it has a lot to do with resonance and frequency, but churches are all about heart chakras, and churches will blow open. I don't care what kind of a church. It doesn't matter what kind of church, because they're all the same frequency or vibration. Okay. So it blows open your heart, just blows it open. And when it does that, you're like, oh, I'm going to I'm crying. And I'm like, yeah, it's because it's the closest thing to home. It's home. Churches are like a home. It feels like a good home. So that's churches. And I'll tell you what, as the reason why I kind of retired is my senses were starting to get kind of cross-wired. When I go past a church, I can close my eyes and it tastes like honey, and I don't care what kind of a church. If I go past a cemetery or a graveyard, it tastes like loam, like silt or loam dirt to me. So, but all churches taste the same. They all taste like honey. And I don't care if it's Jewish or even, oh, what am I trying to say? Like, Jehovah Witness. They're the same. Okay. The frequency is the same. They all blow up that heart chakra and stabilize the heart chakra for a while. That's why it feels so good to release in there. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. So, okay, I'm gonna address this one quickly because I've get a lot of messages with this one. Remember, it's mating season. So if a bird is like knocking or pecking at your window, or if a bird is trying to, looking at themselves in a mirror, it's because it's mating season. And if they see another male, they're going to start pecking at it because they're boys and they're like, oh, tough, tough, tough. So half the time it's that. That's why around this time, if somebody's pecking on your window, I'm like, usually it's because they're on overdrive with their hormones because they're boys. So usually that's the case. Sometimes, yes, it's a message, but usually not during now. Now, if it's the wintertime, that's different. But right now, it's mating season. Veronica's asking about reoccurring dreams of being pregnant. That's a good sign. That means that you're getting ready to give birth to something new. You're getting ready to do something new. You're getting ready to transform. You're getting ready to do something big. That's a good sign. Those are good. Let's see. What's causing a pain in the butt? Literally, whoever you keep saying they're a pain in my ass. So whoever you keep saying a pain in my ass or pain in my neck, that's where your pain is going to start. Because again, words hold frequency. So watch what you say. Watch what you say. It was funny because when I first started learning about some of this stuff, it was like 20 years ago. I'll never forget that I said something like, oh, I am so what, I don't remember what it was, not broke. It was something along those lines. And my spirit guides came in on me and they were like, you will never be rich with that outlook because you just said, I am. And remember when Moses went up, I'm like, so when Moses went up Mount Sinai, he asked God, what do I call you? God said, I am that I am. When you start a sentence with I am, those are some powerful words. Whatever you're going to say behind it are powerful words because you are identifying yourself with God's source energy. I am broke. I am sick. I am a loser. I am whatever you're telling yourself. You will never be anything more than what you are telling yourself. So really talk. So what I learned is to talk out loud. I'm talking out loud now. How you doing? I could have a terrible day. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing all right. How are you doing? I'm not going to say I'm doing bad. I'm not going to say I am sick. I'm not going to say I am. No, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good and I'm fine are higher vibrations than I am sick. I am broke. I am anxiety ridden. I am depressed. I am big, big, big. So, Michaela, if you're saying that, daughter might be getting visited at night, not harmful. So biggest thing I'm going to do is let's just do a quick prayer. Like just give her a prayer because prayers do work. So give her a quick prayer after you put her down to bed, just to kind of put her in a bubble. And what you can do is tell her, if you feel uncomfortable or anything like that, you would just ask for angels to come by and take care of that because they will. So, and then lastly, you might want to sage the house kind of often, especially if she's more sensitive. So we just want to sage. That way, anybody that comes to visit her, we know it's going to be for her highest good. And if they're not, well, they're not allowed in the house. So that makes it a little bit easier. So daughter was told I'm starting to transition and daughter needs to spend as much time as possible with me. Yes, because even though one person is transitioning, the other family members have to adapt to that transition. And they're probably just trying to get in as much time in as they can before that change happens. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions what may happen afterward. And this is where, Deborah, I'm going to make sure that you have an open line of communication. Don't give advice. Open line of communication and just try to, again, what can I help you try to understand? What can I help you with? Or ask those questions, ask those harder questions. So, but truly it's just because she's scared. Yeah. So here's the deal. Catherine's asking, anything to help a 3-year-old sleep all night? So number one, run the shit out of them. Get them outside. Get them outside and run. So outside has a really good way of grounding us down so we sleep better at night. If we're inside all day, we're not going to sleep worth a crap at night. Number two, it's normal between the ages of 3 and 5 not to have good sleeping habits. So, and then number three, make sure that you're going to bed the same time every single day. So it's got to be 9 o'clock on the dot every single time. It must be a routine. After about 28 days, you'll form that routine. So just make sure you're waking up the same time, going to bed the same time. So routine is going to be key for that one. Hang on. This is okay. This is normal. I know it sounds weird, but why does my child keep waking up shortly after falling asleep and coming into my room shaking? Because what happens is when they're out astral traveling and they come into their body too fast, they kind of get the wiggles. I mean, have you ever done that where you woke up in the morning, you're just kind of like discombobulated and your shit ain't right? That's because you got into your body. Your soul was out freely farting around, and then your soul got back in your body, and your body was starting to kind of wake up before your soul was all the way in there. So sometimes that happens. It's really common for kids. Really common. Kids astral travel all the time. Do you guys remember when you were kids, how many flying dreams you had? Kids do it too. So, how do I feel about video games? Or somebody's asking right here. How do I feel about video games? It is what it is. It's part of our society nowadays. But again, balance with everything. So, like I said, he might be downstairs playing a game right now, but I asked if he wanted to go for a walk with me after I get done with my Q&A. He's like, yeah, I'm in. I'm like, sweet. So it's balance. Shiloh, yes to the NLP. Okay, I'll explain this one. So to sage, you're going to get either loose sage, a bundle, you're going to get a shell, and ultimately you want to get a feather. And then when you light it on fire, because it's supposed to represent the 4 elements, right? So that's why we use a shell. And number 2, you want to use a shell so you don't burn a hole in your carpet. So, and all you're going to do is start at any corner. Doesn't matter. Start at any corner and just say something like, God, angels, please fill this house with love and light. Anything not serving me or my family's highest good must leave now. Now, the first time you sage, it's going to billow smoke all over. So, but start at any, hit the corners especially. And then when you're done, open up the windows, air it out, you're good to go. So just make sure that when you first start to sage, make sure you get over your crown and get underneath your feet and then sage the house. It's good to sage yourself first, then the house. So, let me see. Somebody's asking, starting into crystals, finding conflicting info. Do you need to cleanse or charge selenite? No. Selenite is self-regulating. So it cleanses and charges all crystals. So no, that is one thing you do not have to do that. You don't even have to do it with black tourmaline either. So there's a couple crystals that you really don't have to cleanse or charge. Black kyanite is the other one. So black tourmaline, black kyanite, and selenite, you don't have to. So sometimes I do because I can't remember which one's the tourmaline and the obsidian. So yep, I have everything at Awakenings. Small leg and tongue twitches in husband. He doesn't even notice it. That's just a nervous tick. Sometimes it comes from trauma. Sometimes that kind of comes from trauma. So I'm gonna explain this one. Paula, I don't either. Now, every once in a while, I know the difference in fake moldavite and real moldavite because my crown itches. Other than that, I don't either. So, like I said, some people get like big feelings with crystals. I don't really. So, that's a good one, Katie. What do I suggest? Alternate for saging. Incense sticks work fine. And if you can't really do that because it's still kind of smoky, we have these one incense sticks called Urban Earth. They're one of my favorites because they're made with essential oils and they're low smoke. So those are really good ones. And if not, we have good old sage spray. So that's another good one that, and I know that we get our sage spray in and it's been blessed, but I'm a reverend and I bless all the water, anything with water. I know that sounds so weird, but anything with water in it, I bless it at my store. So that way, when you guys get it, it's charged. I don't really need to announce that to people. It's just something that I do. So, because again, if you're going to get it from my store, I want to make sure that those products work for you for your spiritual development. That's the point of me doing this. So Palo Santo is a good second choice if you don't like the smell of sage. Sweetgrass isn't too shabby either. You just kind of have to find your flavor. So Heather, been grounding a lot, but still very scatterbrain. Same. I keep thinking it was my ADHD and I'm like, no. So I have been making sure that I've been a little bit better with my nutrition. Water. I don't know why, but I haven't been drinking as much water, and I'm really trying to make sure that I'm staying a lot more hydrated now. It seems like it's helped a little bit, but this month I think all of us are kind of scatterbrained just because of the huge energy shifts that we've had. So that's okay. La, 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 la. So this is a good one. Lisa, you have anxiety when you take tests. How can you overcome test anxiety? Believe it or not, I want to make sure that your solar plexus is open and stabilized. So what I do for students is I tell them to walk around with their hands on their hips like this for about 10 minutes. What that does is it forces your shoulders back and it forces your solar plexus to open up, which gives you confidence. All right. So it's a solar plexus issue. And then number two, before you go to bed at night, I want you to imagine what it's like to have already passed the test. So not, oh my God, what do I do if I fail? What do I do? What if? No. What does it feel like to have already passed it when you see that A? So that's what you need to kind of switch that. Instead of doing the what if, no, what would it feel like if you actually passed the first go around? How would that feel? Because that feeling vibration is what we're trying to match so we can manifest it. What are my thoughts on grounding sheets, Stacy? Yeah, I haven't found a good set, but I just ordered some. They're not here yet, so I'm gonna try out. I got one set that felt like diapers. No, didn't like them. I think some of these are going really fast. Sorry, guys. What did you start doing? Channel messages, just advice. When did I start? I started going through a spiritual awakening now almost 20 years ago. But I was full-time psychic medium here in Omaha for the last 10 years. So I was doing that full time. And then a couple of years before that, I was doing it part time. So I've been doing this a long time. And I will tell you that for me, I notice patterns very easy. Maybe that's my ADHD, but I notice patterns really easy. And I will tell you that people are people are people are people. People are very predictable. You would think that they're not, but people are very predictable, especially if you know their past and how they were raised. So once I figured that out, because your dead people are talking to me, once I have that figured out, I'm already looking at what we got to do to navigate going forward. So, Rosie, you're saying that your mom has horrible dreams, often ask source to make it stop. That's about all you can do. But understand if she's still having these horrible dreams, it's because she's still processing that trauma in a sleep state to try to work through it. So the brains are going to try to deal with trauma with the path of least resistance, and that's going to be for her in a subconscious state. So she can keep asking, keep praying, absolutely. But if she had a lot of trauma and she's like, nope, I don't want to look about it and talk about it, because ladies back then didn't. So it's going to keep coming up in dreams. I'm going to address this one, Caitlin. Got your uncle a black tourmaline bracelet. He says it vibrates randomly through the day. When it vibrates, I want to know who the hell he's around, because if it's starting to vibrate, it is protecting him. So somebody around him is so damn negative that it's actually having a physical response by shaking like that. So that means to tell me it's doing its job. But the vibration from that is telling me somebody around him is not good. And I mean possibly possessed or negative entity attachment, not good. So, and those people scare the shit out of me. You think dead people scare me? Please. Cryptids? No. No. I know how they act. I figured that out. It's living people that have free will, that don't know they have a negative entity attachment or that they're possibly possessed. Well, those are the ones that just freak me out because you can't, it's a very unpredictable behavior. Unpredictable behavior. So, yes, Sharon, if you start taking better care of yourself, yes. But your worry or your concern is the reason why you're sick in the first place. Vicky, this is a great question. She's like, why would you keep hearing a repeating song in your head? It's the lyrics. It's the lyrics of that song you need to listen to. That is a direct sign from your spirit guides. Absolutely. Direct sign from your spirit guide. You're going to get those repeating songs. Because again, it's the lyrics, not necessarily the music. Barbara O'Neill, she is the shit. She is the shit. At a way, she's already been blackballed. She's literally been blackballed from Australia, which is where she's from, because the pharmaceutical company damn near threw her in jail. So because of it. So she's the shit. She is the shit. I love her. Funny because I studied a lot of, oh my gosh, guys, think about his name. I studied a lot of Edgar Cayce. I studied a lot back in the day when I was a kid, Edgar Cayce. And a lot of the solutions he comes up with for health problems, Barbara's coming up with those same solutions. So I find that awesome. I find, like I said, there's a lot of correlation in there. By the way, she is not a doctor. She's not a doctor. So if you're following a page that says Dr. Barbara O'Neill, that's not her page. Just so you know, she's not a doctor. So she's even said that I'm not a doctor. So, and she's not. So, but she's the shit. So she's bringing back medicine. So please understand that our medicine is based on nature. So, I mean, let's think about this. Geez, I can't think what it's called. Starts with a V. Valium, right? Valium is from valerian root. So you drink valerian root tea, that is the same, not same thing. It's the same substance, but Valium's just more potent. So all pharmaceutical companies do is go out in nature, extract what that main ingredient is, reciprocate it, and then make you take a pill when you could just go to Mother Nature and get it for free. But see, that's why they're trying to shut her down, Barbara, because she's speaking truth. And if you can heal yourself without a doctor and pharmacy, well, that's a little scary for that pharmaceutical company now, isn't it? But again, I can't talk too much about that, but yeah. So Kayla, there's no difference. Some people are drawn to crystals. Some people are drawn to herbs. Some people are drawn to, like, there's a lot of different modalities here. So you just have to keep finding yours. Like I said, mine happens to be crystals. Some people it's herbs. Some people it's candles. To each their own. You just have to find your thing. Let's see. You see 222. So twos usually mean balance, but for you, it very well could be a sign from your sister. Because if you associate that with the sign from your sister, then that's what it is for you. Here's a really good one. Had a pendulum shake while hanging at a store. Put your hand in front of it. Haven't had it happen again. It broke some time ago. That means, Mitch, that you don't need it anymore. You've used it. You don't need it anymore. So I don't even use my pendulum anymore because I just go based on how it feels. Like if it goes up, curious, interesting, makes me nervous, that's a hell yes. If it hits me like, meh, that's a plan B, timing about it's not right. And if I have to go, well, that's a hell no. So, so Mary, if you got a family member that's saying that has told you that, told me that dark shadow walks towards him in the night and he'll get on top of him, can't move, that could be possibly demonic. So my question would be, if it's attacking him, is he an alcoholic? Because usually I hear this with somebody who has substance abuse issues, alcoholic, or terrible mental health. So I'm going to address this one. This is a good one. Why not do loved ones talk in dreams? They do, Patty. You're able to see them, but you're not able to hear them because your clairaudient ability is not on. So they are talking, you just can't hear them yet, not yet. So that's a clairaudient issue. You can see them, you can feel them, you know that they're there. All the other clairs are there. Clairaudient probably isn't your thing. And I'd be even willing to bet money that you have thyroid issues as well, because the throat chakra deals with your clairaudient abilities. And most unlikely, you have thyroid issues because that's why you can't hear very well. That's my guess. It's going to be my guess. Lindsay, this one's really easy. What causes uterus fertility issues? It's because your dad wasn't there for you emotionally speaking. He probably was a farmer or a trucker. He was there for you. He loved you, but he never said, I love you. He never hugged you. He never shown you affection. And more than likely, you married somebody just like that. So that's where it's from. No, it's not a negative energy attack. No, it's not anything other than it's an issue because you didn't have that good connection with your biological father, and you probably married somebody just like your father. Amanda, this is a great question. Past, present, and future lives all occurring at the same time? Yes. Yes. Quantumly? Yes, that's why when you hear, especially spirit guides, are always like, here and now, be in the here and now, be in the here and now. That's what they mean, because all timelines from the past are actually up to present. So yes. Can you ask Source to turn on your clairs more? You can, but ultimately it's a chakra issue. So again, if your throat chakra isn't working or your thyroid isn't working, it is because you are not telling people no, you are not speaking your truth, you are not asking for help, and you are not being vulnerable. Because that's scary. Well, or you bite your tongue because you don't like confrontation. It's just easier for you not to say anything. Say it. Always say it, especially in regards to you. And we say it nicely. You know, when you said this the other day, that really hurt my feelings. So we say it that way, not you spoke wrong. Because if you start the sentence off with you, you're going to be in trouble. I'll be in trouble. Oh, Jennifer, you went to the Omaha Health. I know they're good people. They're more alternative. So they have medical medicine, but alternative medicine, they put it together in one. Love these bridges. Love these bridges. So, because they're going to do deeper digging. They're not going to do a standardized test. They're going to find out what the hell's going on. So there it is, Lindsay. I was just saying earlier, your dad was standoffish. And so the biggest thing is that without having a dad to help you with your self-confidence, to help you with womanhood, because that's kind of a weird way, that's what dads do. Like I said, the biggest thing is I want to make sure that your husband that you're with now, or your partner that you're with now, is not standoffish and is being more than willing. And you have to be willing to ask for what it is that you want, especially in the bedroom. So, you know, if you don't like it a certain way, be real. Be real. So if you don't like I said, if you don't want to get your hair pulled, tell them. Like you got to be real with what it is that you want versus what you don't want in the bedroom. That's also going to help to open and stabilize the sacral chakra as well. So been clenching your jaw in sleep lately. You want to know why, Jessica? Because you really want to speak your truth. You really want to say what's on your mind, and you're not doing it. And you're not doing it. And that's the problem. This is a great one, Nisi. Do loved ones care if we put flowers on their graves? Yes, they do. A lot of times if you can't get to it, say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't get there. They'll still hear you anyway. But yes, they do notice. Yep, absolutely they do. What can you do to help increase your son's concentration? Peggy, number one, nutrition. So that's a big one. I will tell you on my Amazon store, I put in my Amazon store something that I take. It's called dopamine food. Love it. So it's the nutrients that we need being neurodivergent in that pill. So number two, no sugar in the morning. No sugar. Peanut butter is fine, but no sugar in the morning. Eggs. Think heavy food, not sugar, not Pop-Tarts, not sugar, no sugar. Fruit juice is cool. Fruit is fine. So, but sugar will tap us out by about 10:30, and then we're done. Then we're done. So, and then lastly, routine. We need a routine, and you get us off on our routine even a little bit, we're crabby bitches. So routine is really, really key. This is legit, Vendela. Should you sell or keep your old car? You know what? Get a new one as long as you can make the payments. So if the payments are still A-okay, do it. So what is the impact of older adults leaving a home they've lived in for their entire life? Not really. Depends on it really depends on how adaptable they are to society. So it really depends. Can they take care of themselves? Are they good members of society? Can they hold down a job? Like I said, provide for themselves, take care of themselves. So, you know, it just depends. I know some people have a little bit slower start, and it also depends on if your parents are enabling you or not. So there's a lot of different avenues in that, I guess. So, hang on one second. Can we be stronger in one or two clairs and have others pop on and off in specific instances? Yes. Yes. So my number one ability is claircognizant. I don't know how I know, but I know. And then my second one is clairvoyance. So sometimes my clairaudience works great. Other times not so good. So it depends on my situation. But yes, that's exactly usually how it is. Most of us are going to have one or two that are really, really good. And the rest of them we're kind of struggle with or work on. Okay. Let's see. Kim is asking, hip pain left more than right. Kim, that has everything to do with indecision. You can't make a decision to save your life. And you probably can't make a decision because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You don't like to put up boundaries. You are not a selfish person. And you just like status quo because it's easier and you're not in the front run. You're not a front runner. And I'm like, make decisions. It's okay. So if somebody has a problem with it, it's their problem. It's their problem. It's not your problem. So how people react to who you are is on them, not me. So, let's see. So I'm going to address this one here. Got an autoimmune disease, Raynaud's recently. What causes your body to develop them? Severe stress. So because you have to have two viral issues in order for you to get an autoimmune disease. All right. So in order for you to get a viral issue, no different than a plant, you stress a plant out, they're going to have a viral, bacterial, or a fungal infection. People are just like plants. You stress a person out, they're going to get sick. So Danielle, my first question to you is, you're probably not happy. And happiness would feel actually foreign to you because you are going to be always looking at, well, when's the shoe going to drop? When's the shoe going to drop? So a lot of this has to do with trauma from childhood, a lot of trauma from childhood. And number two, being constantly stressed the fuck out, constantly stressed out. So, and I'm going to tell you, do whatever it takes for you to be happy. Whatever it takes for you to, as long as you're not hurting other people, you're fine. So, but at the same time, I'm like, it's time for you to be happy. And I think you being happy and successful would scare the shit out of you. Really would. What causes severe sinus and migraine? Perfectionism issues. You trying to control and perfect, control, perfect. Because when things are out of control, you don't know how to handle that instead of just going with the flow and surrendering and giving it to God. That's not you. You're going to be constantly trying to control. And that's where sinuses and migraines are all about control issues and perfectionism issues. Let's see. Hang on, someone came. When speaking to myself or deceased loved ones, I often get responses. How do you know if it's real or just your imagination? You don't have imagination. You don't have imagination. That's not a word in your vocabulary. That's a word for unenlightened muggles. Okay. Enlightened people like us, we don't have imagination anymore. We have intuition, but it feels just like your imagination. It feels just like your imagination. That's what intuition feels like. It feels like you're using your imagination all day. And then your brain's like, wait a minute, that was your imagination. No, it wasn't. It says it's your imagination because it doesn't know what category to put it in because it's new, and it's always going to, your ego is always going to try to keep you safe. So yeah. So no, it's never your imagination because you don't have imagination anymore. You have intuition. Melissa, suddenly started to feel strange things in the bedroom, like somebody sitting on the edge of the bed, whistling behind you at work. Melissa, I'm curious to know if you opened up your home to somebody that might have brought something negative in, or if you brought home something from, like, I don't know, antique mall or maybe. So number one, I'd be saging yourself, sage the shit out of that house. And then number two, like I said, I'd be doing some sage spray at work, but put yourself in a bubble a little bit more because you control spirit. Remember, you're a soul with a human body. They're a soul without a body. Your energy is going to always trump theirs every time, every time. So don't be afraid of ghosts or things like that. You have a hell of a lot more control than what you think. So absolutely, tell them to piss off. And like I said, ask for angels to come in. And anytime that you're really freaked out, if you say the word Jesus Christ or in Jesus's name, I demand whatever, oh, fuckery's gonna stop. Just like that. Just like that. This is an easy question. Why do I always have somebody attached to me? You want to know why, Lisa? Because you allow it. Point blank, you allow it. My question to you is, you clearly, if you have if you're somebody's always attached to you, that means to tell me that I'm curious to know about how you were raised by your mother. So, because that's a very motherly thing. If somebody's always attached to you, that's a motherly instinct. And if you're still allowing that, then we need to heal this mother wound that you got going on, because there's a mother wound there that's going to be pretty feisty. So, Rosie, when a family member does something bad and you hear about it and it makes you cry, now you don't want anything to do with them. Is that on them? That's always on them. That's always on them. And don't get me wrong, people make mistakes. And if they can own it and they can learn from it, then no, don't hold that against them. Not at all. But if they absolutely are in denial like an ostrich, or they're like, oh, nope, not me, I absolutely would have nothing to do with that person, because they can't take accountability for their own actions and instead they blame other people. So that is somebody that is always going to be service to self, not service to others. Therefore, those people are not in my world. I won't allow them in my world. No. No. Let's see. Treatment for varicose veins. That varicose veins have a lot to do with vulnerability and asking for help. You have a hard time asking for help, Amy. That's a big one. This one says, have dreams of things that have happened in real life after the dream, sometimes the next day, weeks, months later, some other times. So Amber, those are called precognitive dreams. So sometimes people have abilities or psychic abilities where they can figure out what the future is going to happen before it happens. But the weird thing is we never know when and we never know where. That's what's frustrating with precog dreams. So yes, they're called precognitive dreams. Yes, they are real. And like I said, the hardest part is to really pin it down and go, okay, when is this going to happen, or where is this going to happen? Usually we notice it after it happens, and we're like, so we wanted it before, and we're like, no. Reasons for sugar cravings. Usually that has a lot to do with your adrenal glands, fight or flight. So, and sugar is very comforting, especially if you're burning your candle at both ends, Jen. So make sure you're getting a little bit more balanced out. I know when I'm craving sugar, I'm burning my candle at both ends, or I'm really, when I'm stressed. Yeah, like I said, when I'm stressed, if I'm getting sugar. So, because that's my Achilles heel is sugar, especially like like the junky foods. So yeah. Yeah, anxiety. So here's the deal with this, because I want to talk about this anxiety stuff. So I want you to really look at this and go, okay, is it anxiety like feelings? Because that's been happening a lot with the solar flares. Or is it, because anxiety is worried about the future. Worried because you can't control the future. That's what anxiety is. You're trying to control the what ifs of the future. Depression is because you're living in the past. So that's where both of those lie here. But anxiety is because you're in fear of the future. But if you know who you are, you know what your goals, ambitions, and dreams are, you shouldn't be having too much anxiety, because after a while you see how synchronistic things are. So, but like I said, or is it because of the solar flares that we've been having lately, which has been a lot? We've had quite a few. Naomi, this has everything to do back in the day. So sometimes when your body is trying to heal, it kind of goes backwards before it goes forwards. So yeah, it's got to, just like I said, hang in there. It might even get a little bit worse, but then it should start getting better, because when you get your body in a place of allowance to heal, it kind of goes backwards to then heal back forward again. So what if you have both anxiety and depression? It's because you're way too worried about what other people think. You're way too worried about impressing people around you than yourself. And that means to tell me that you probably don't know who you are. You don't know what your goals, ambitions, and dreams are. You have no idea about your life purpose. But if I were to ask you about anybody else, by God, you'd be able to nail that real quick. So that's where I'm like, it literally is a deflection on self. So because, and a lot of it has to do with trauma too, some childhood trauma in there. That absolutely has stuff to go in there with that. But like I said, if your anxiety is because you're worried about the future, depression is because you're worried about the past, but you're worried because of what people are going to say or think. And like I said, you can't worry about that. Sounds simple in theory. Trust me, it is. But like I said, coming out of the closet 15 years ago as a psychic medium in Nebraska got me some thick skin quick. What I find ironic is the people that were my haters are the ones coming by saying, hey, I need some help. Not apologizing. Oh, no. But now they're coming to me asking me for help. And I'm like, I'll do it. I better have some good karma, just saying. How do you find your life purpose, Kayla? Follow your curiosity. And don't think it's just got to be one thing. It could be ever evolving. So like I said, do what you want to do now and master it. You may not need it after a while. Maybe it is your thing. Who knows? But do what you're doing in the moment and enjoy it and master it and move. Like I said, eventually something else will kind of come along if that's the case. So, but follow your curiosity. Follow that. Let's see here. Tips on divorcing a narcissist when they're lying about numbers. Sheena, you can hire a lawyer that is like an analytic or accountant type of lawyer, where they can disclose those things. But ultimately, like I said, that's a lawyer question. Try to talk to your lawyer, because the only way, because a narcissist, all they care about is money, power, and control. And in a divorce, those are the things that they are going to do to try to retain the money, power, control. And you have to understand those people know how to manipulate through guilt. So you have to learn not to be guilted anymore or allow your guilt to affect you. Because don't think for a second that he thinks about you. No, he thinks about his money, his power, and his control. That's what he considers. That's it. So that's it. Yes, this is true, Cher. When you see when you first start to see spirit, they are dark and they're kind of gritty and darker. And a lot of times you're going to see them off to the corner of your eyes, not necessarily right here. So understand that's absolutely normal, but that doesn't mean that they're evil or demonic. Not at all. They could be a loved one, could be a spirit guide, whatever. At any point in time, if you do see that, like I said, I always say, if you're from my highest good, you could stick around. If not, gotta go. They usually stick around. Like I said, here I have it like Fort Knox. I have it pretty protected. So, so Christine, okay, ADHD here too. The biggest thing I'm gonna tell you is that us ADHDers overspend money on crafts or things that we're wanting in the moment. It's because we don't stick to a budget very well. And so I have learned that within my budget, I have to give myself $200 a month for literally fuckery. So I'm like, ooh, that looks like fun. So I'm just dumb like that. I'm like, that's my ADHD. I get that. But I've learned that I have to allot myself that extra $200. Some months I just can't go over that amount. That's my amount. So in other months, I don't have to go over that. In other months, I come right down to the line. So, but ultimately I had to get real with my finances. So because I'm the one, outside my partner, I'm the one that controls my spending. So obviously, if I'm not, I have to understand my budget. So I've literally put everything on paper, budgeted everything out. So, but I always had to give myself an extra $200 for, I called it fuckery fund, because I don't, it's just weird stuff that I buy. Cause I don't know, I'm like, ooh, I got to try that. And then I don't. So Megan, what advice do I give somebody who's got diagnosed with breast cancer? If it's the right breast cancer, it's because they're usually holding on to resentment with a husband or an ex-husband. And then if it's the left side, it's usually because they're holding on to resentment with their children or something that happened to their children. So I'm going to tell you, let go of the resentment. Let go of the resentment. Let it go. Forgive is the key. Forgive. Somebody's at the end stage of their life, doesn't have much, if any, comprehension anymore, and is being manipulated by certain people. Does he know what's really happening? No. And they'll find out when they die, but no, they don't. Can a spirit be visiting me before he passes? Yes, that's possible. And this is where we get into the moral or the ethical obligation of talking to dead people. So back when I was doing readings, I could talk to somebody that was deep into their dementia, where they're sleeping, 11 hours a day, get ready to cross over. I could talk to them because they really weren't in their body that much at the time. But morally or ethically, that's not right. So in your case, it just kind of happened. So that's okay. But yes, that is possible. Absolutely. So here's a good one, Tasha. Well, why does your ADHD meds block being able to access your abilities? It usually doesn't. But in certain situations, it can. It depends on the med. Like I said, if it's for me, it depends on how your body takes it too. So like I said, if those meds are working great for you, stick with them, obviously, but maybe we need a med change. I know that I started off with a couple ones that did not work for my mediumship. I do the basic Adderall. That is the only thing that still helps on my deficit days, and I can still talk to dead people. But the one that starts with a V, and then there was another one that I tried, Wellbutrin or something like that. I was like, God, no, that did not work. So, but yeah, that's the only one ADHD med. I've noticed that with that, but depression medication, anxiety medication will not affect your spiritual development, because here's the deal. By the time you need to wean off of your antidepressant or your anti-anxiety med, you're at a stage 4 and you're dealing with the core reason of why you have anxiety or why you have depression. So it just doesn't happen overnight. This doesn't happen just, oh, depression is going to happily pick that person. No, it's because they have an abandonment issue by a biological parent 9 times out of 10. So like I said, if you fix the issue, you don't have to take the medication, because you'll fix the brain, because the body will get in a place of allowance to heal. So, but ultimately, most medication do not mess with spirit communication. I'm just a little bit more sensitive, but the only thing I can take is a very small, low dose of Adderall. Even then, I don't like taking it unless I have to. And I usually have to do those on my deficit days when I have to go to work. So Are you born with ADHD? I think so. And this is just my opinion, that you can take it or leave it. I am not wondering. My brother and I both have it. My mother took Tylenol when she was pregnant with us. I wonder if Tylenol has something to do with it in utero. That's my guess. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Brains are different. Maybe it's from vaccinations. Don't know. But the one thing that always goes back to me is I'm like, my brother and I both have it. We are so different. So I'm like, don't know. Is it hereditary? No. So here's the deal. And this is just, again, this is my personal opinion. So if you have a depressed parent, that parent is going to teach you how to think depressive thoughts because they're depressed. By default, you're going to learn that. And that's why then you would become, because it's a learned behavior. I think it's a learned behavior. So, but no, I don't think it's hereditary. I don't. So, okay, guys, I'm going to stop there. Stephen went outside, was like doing like, what, we going for a walk, Ma? Like what? So that's why he just walked out. He was all like, going for a walk. So I'm going to go for a walk with my son. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, I do have a meditation class tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. So it's going to be via Zoom. You'll have to go to Eventbrite for that one because my website is down right now because, again, I'm redoing my entire website. So, but just go to Eventbrite. You should be able to find it there. It's a meditation class. And I believe it's $25 and it's like an hour. It's about an hour. And we'll do a guided meditation along with that. It's going to be via Zoom. So much like this, but I won't be seeing you. So don't worry. You'll see me, but I won't see you. So you don't have to worry about dressing up or looking pretty. Screw that. Like you'll be looking at me much like this. So, but like I said, if you're interested, check that out. Again, go to Eventbrite for that. I'll go ahead. It should be on my Facebook feed here too, but Facebook is, like I said, I've been a little banned from Facebook because I said some words like that and some other words, and they're like, you can't say that. And I'm like, actually I can. It's called free speech, but not on this platform. So, okay, fine. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I might go live a little bit on TikTok. So, but like I said, I'll announce that here on Facebook if you guys see it. So, but want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Have a good week ahead. Like I said, energy is getting better. If you still feel like you need to rest this week, just rest. June is all about go, 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 go. We're still resting from all these solar flares. We just had another Class X today. So again, if you're just feeling off, get your butt outside, feet to earth, go hug a tree, like eat some dirt, literally. Be a dirt nerd. So it's going to help a lot. All right, guys, take care. Bye.